Tennis etiquette. Filipino coach says crowd learning curve is totally understandable. The hype for Alex Ealer is at an all-time high, and the flock of Filipino fans at her recent matches is being seen as a double-edged sword, as some criticize the crowd for being too rowdy, a talking point highlighted during the 2026 Australian Open. After Ealer's breakthrough 2025 campaign, which included personal milestones on the WTA Tour and a SEA Games gold medal for Team Philippines, Filipinos now pay more attention to tennis, and in turn, more fans gather to see Ealer play live. And ahead of the Philippine Women's Open, the country's first ever WTA event, the atmosphere is expected to be electric, especially as Ealer is confirmed to play. Now, for Filipino tennis player and coach Biao Libao, it's only normal for the Filipino crowd to go through an adjustment period as they discover the tennis etiquette. It's good to show your passion in everything, Libao told One Sports on fan reactions. Although, of course, as tennis players, we would advise, for example, do not clap on opponents' double faults, and then when play is starting, just keep quiet. But after the point, when the point's over, yes, you can cheer as loud as you want. For a lot of Filipino fans, tennis etiquette can be something of a novel idea, especially as there's no such thing for sports like basketball and volleyball. But for Libao, crowds just need to be able to tap into something universal: respect. It's important to show their respect, and to show their respect to not only to our own player, especially if they're playing against Alex, but also towards their opponents, and just to show respect. But it's totally understandable, he said. Not everyone is obviously knowledgeable in terms of tennis etiquette, so it's totally fine. I guess we'll just let the umpire kind of warn the crowd, but I think this is just normal, Libao continued. Ealer's magnetic pull for fans has captured the attention entire tennis world. Novak Djokovic, 24-time Grand Slam champion and arguably the greatest ever, also recently commented on the fans' talk, saying how the influx of support is a good problem for the WTA. With tennis set for its long-awaited boom in the Philippines, Libao is happy to see more and more Filipinos get into the sport, especially as the WTA comes to Manila for the first time. I'm sure the WTA is really happy about this, and they've never experienced it because all Filipinos usually show out and show their support for a lot of the different sports, said Libao. So in terms of tennis, I'm sure the WTA is really happy and really surprised with how many people are watching, he added. Tickets for the finals of the Philippine Women's Open have been sold out for days, underscoring the newfound passion of Filipino fans for the sport thanks to Ealer's success. Prior to becoming a tennis coach, Libao played in the US NCAA, where he was named a two-time All-American. He also suited up for DLSU in the UAP. He is a ranked player by the Philippine Tennis Association in men's doubles. When the ball is struck in tennis, the sound is not only of strings meeting felt, it is also of silence. Or at least, that is how the sport has long been understood. Silence between points, restrained applause, a collective holding of breath during a save. These customs form the unwritten grammar of tennis etiquette. Yet when new audiences encounter the game, especially in places where tennis is still growing, that grammar is not always spoken fluently. A Filipino coach's remark that the crowd's learning curve is totally understandable captures this moment perfectly, not as an excuse, but as an invitation to see tennis etiquette as something learned, not innate. Tennis etiquette did not descend from the heavens fully formed. It evolved alongside the sport itself, shaped by its origins in private clubs and elite social spaces. The quiet crowd, the polite clap, the frowned-upon shout during a rally. These were norms cultivated in environments where spectatorship was as much about decorum as enjoyment. Over time, these customs hardened into rules that many fans now treat as sacred. But when tennis enters new cultural spaces, it does not arrive alone. It meets different traditions of cheering, celebrating, and expressing joy. In the Philippines, sports fandom is vibrant, emotional, and communal. Basketball games are loud, boxing matches are electric, and volleyball crowds erupt with every point. Noise is not disrespect, it is participation. To expect a tennis crowd raised in such an environment to instinctively observe Wimbledon-style silence is to forget that etiquette is cultural memory, not universal instinct. The Filipino coach's comment recognizes this gap with generosity. Calling the learning curve totally understandable reframes the issue from one of misbehavior to one of adaptation. At its core, tennis etiquette exists to protect fairness and focus. A player serving at breakpoint needs concentration. A rally at full speed demands clarity of mind. Silence during play is not about snobbery. It is about respect for the athlete's mental space. But respect can be taught, and it can be taught without shaming. When crowds clap mid-rally out of excitement, it often comes from admiration, not malice. The task, then, is not to scold but to guide. This is where coaches, players, and organizers play a crucial role. A simple announcement before matches, a friendly reminder from an umpire, or even players gesturing gently to the crowd can turn confusion into understanding. Education works best when it is welcoming. The Filipino coach's perspective suggests patience, an acknowledgement that loving the game comes first, and learning its subtleties follows. There is also something refreshing about a crowd that has not yet mastered restraint. Raw enthusiasm reminds us why sports exist in the first place. Tennis, for all its traditions, risks becoming distant when it prioritizes protocol over passion. New audiences challenge the sport to explain itself, to justify why silence matters, why timing matters, why etiquette is part of the game. In doing so, tennis becomes more accessible, not less. Of course, this does not mean etiquette should be discarded. Instead, it should be translated. Just as players adjust to different court surfaces, audiences adjust to different sporting cultures. Over time, patterns emerge. Cheers shift to applause between points. Gasps replace shouts during serves. What once felt foreign becomes second nature. The learning curve flattens. The Filipino coach's remark also carries a subtle confidence in the audience. It assumes they are capable of learning, of caring, of wanting to do better. That assumption matters. When fans feel respected, they respond with respect in return. Blame creates resistance. Understanding creates cooperation. In the end, tennis etiquette is less about silence and more about shared awareness. It is an agreement between players and spectators to protect the integrity of the moment. For new crowds, that agreement takes time to understand. And that is okay. Growth is rarely quiet. As tennis continues to expand beyond its traditional strongholds, moments like these will become more common. Each one is a